she bout to come. When I come, I rub my dick across her gums. She love me cause I'm all about funds and having fun. Broke her ass for a honey bun. Had to hit me back, she had to.
1. Action. Happy birthday Sakusa. Atsumu had a plan. No, Atsumu had 5 plans. It was Sakusa's birthday, and Atsumu had spent weeks crafting the ultimate, foolproof day to celebrate his boyfriend. He had meticulously scheduled 5 different dates, each one tailored to Sakusa's very specific tastes. He had backups for the backups, planned every tiny detail, and even accounted for Sakusa's germophobia. Nothing could go wrong, except, of course, everything went to absolute shit. The first disaster struck during the picnic. Atsumu had gotten up early to pack the perfect basket, stuffing it with all of Sakusa's favorite foods, onigiri, fresh fruit, pastries from that ridiculously expensive bakery he liked. He even packed disinfectant wipes and disposable utensils because he had thought ahead. He picked a beautiful, secluded spot in the park, far from people, and spread out a blanket. For a second, everything was perfect. Sakusa sat down, crossed his long legs, and gave a small nod of approval. This was good. Then the wind betrayed him. A strong gust swept through the park and flipped the blanket over, sending napkins, utensils, and perfectly arranged food tumbling into the grass. Sakusa froze, his eyes darkened, and Atsumu swore he could see the internal battle happening in his head. I touched the ground, Sakusa muttered, fingers twitching. Yeah, babe, it's a park, Atsumu said, confused. I need to wash my hands. We got wipes. No, I need water. Atsumu groaned but grabbed a bottle of hand sanitizer, shoving it toward him. Just as Sakusa reached for it, they arrived. A horde of ants. 1 second, Atsumu was trying to salvage their meal, and the next, chaos. Tiny black demons swarmed the blanket, crawling over the food, the napkins, his damn leg. What the fuck? Why are there so many? Atsumu screeched, jumping up. They smell the food. Sakusa deadpanned, already standing a safe distance away, arms crossed. Atsumu swatted at his legs, shaking his entire body like he was possessed. A particularly aggressive ant climbed onto his wrist, and he yelled like he was being personally attacked. This is bullshit, he grumbled, grabbing the basket with defeat in his voice. Sakusa sighed. Are we leaving now? Yes. Atsumu refused to let a minor disaster ruin the day. After brushing off every possible ant, and scrubbing his hands twice, just in case, he whisked Sakusa off to the next destination, the beach. This was supposed to be romantic. The ocean, the fresh air, the perfect atmosphere for a perfect date. Until Sakusa, standing stiffly in his 50 layers of sunscreen, gave him a flat look and said, "You didn't tell me we were coming to the beach." "Well, yeah," Atsumu said, gesturing wildly. "It's a surprise. It's sand. Sand is disgusting." Atsumu exhaled through his nose. "It's fine. We'll stay on the towels. I set up a whole thing." Then he saw it. His carefully prepared beach setup, umbrella, towels, chairs, was gone, vanished, erased from existence. In its place, 2 kids were building a massive sandcastle, using what Atsumu was pretty fucking sure was his bucket. "Where the hell is our stuff?" Atsumu muttered, scanning the beach. Sakusa sighed. "Maybe you should have arrived earlier." "Fine. No chairs? No problem." They could still sit on the sand, except the second Atsumu sat down, he felt it. A sharp, horrifying pinch on his thigh. "Ah, fuck." He leaped to his feet, frantically slapping at his leg. Sakusa, watching from a safe distance, raised an eyebrow. "Did you just sit on a crab?" Atsumu pulled up his shorts and yet, there it was, a tiny, angry crab clamped onto his thigh, hanging on for dear life. Sakusa, the love of his life, his supposed soulmate, just stared, and then, in a completely betrayal-filled moment, he burst out laughing. Atsumu gawked at him. Omi, help me." "No," Sakusa said, still laughing. "This is the best thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, you're a terrible boyfriend." After screaming and wrestling with the world's angriest crab, Atsumu managed to get it off. By then, he was sweaty, humiliated, and very done with the beach. They moved on to the escape room, where Sakusa immediately proved that he was too smart for this shit. Atsumu, meanwhile, spent half the time confused as Sakusa effortlessly solved every puzzle. By the time they escaped with 5 minutes left, Atsumu was grumpy. "Can we pretend I helped?" he asked as they left. "No," Sakusa said. The movie was no better. The theater was loud, crowded, and worst of all, full of teenagers. Not even 10 minutes in, a group of kids behind them started kicking Atsumu's seat. Atsumu turned around. "Hey, stop that." The kids smirked, and then kicked harder. Atsumu gripped his armrest. Omi, I'm gonna commit a crime. Sakusa placed a hand on his arm. Do not get us banned from the theater. Atsumu seethed for the entire movie. By the time they got to the axe throwing, Atsumu had one last shot at making the day not a disaster. But of course, his first throw bounced off the target and nearly hit the instructor. The poor guy, now visibly pale, cleared his throat. Let's try that again. Carefully, Sakusa turned to him, unimpressed. You're not allowed to throw things anymore. At the end of the night, Atsumu collapsed onto their couch, groaning. I ruined your birthday. Sakusa tilted his head. What are you talking about? Everything went wrong. Atsumu whined. Ants, crabs, teenage assholes. I wanted it to be perfect, but it was just a disaster. Sakusa smiled. You idiot. Atsumu blinked. What? This was the best birthday I've ever had, Sakusa said, voice warm, honest. Atsumu sat up. You're lying. Sakusa shrugged. It was hilarious. Atsumu groaned, flopping forward until his forehead pressed against Sakusa's shoulder. I hate you. Sakusa hummed, fingers threading through Atsumu's hair, tilting his chin up. No, you don't. Before Atsumu could argue, Sakusa kissed him, slow and deep, a real kiss. Sakusa's lips moved against his like a promise, like he meant every single word he'd just said. Atsumu melted into it, sighing as Sakusa's fingers curled at the nape of his neck, keeping him close. And fine, maybe Atsumu didn't ruin the day. Maybe, just maybe, Sakusa really had loved every second of their ridiculous, chaotic disaster of a birthday. And maybe, this moment made every single disaster worth it. Atsumu barely had time to register what was happening before Sakusa grabbed him by the jaw and pulled him into a kiss so deep, so needy, it knocked the breath right out of him. His entire body shivered as Sakusa's lips moved against his, slow at first, teasing, taunting, and then, suddenly, hungry. Atsumu let out a sharp gasp as Sakusa's tongue swiped across his bottom lip before pushing inside, claiming his mouth like he owned it. Oh, fuck. Atsumu barely managed to breathe before Sakusa devoured him again, his grip tightening around the back of his neck, fingers threading through his hair. The kiss turned desperate, all teeth and tongue, messy and feverish, like Sakusa had been holding back all day and finally decided to break. Atsumu's fingers dug into Sakusa's shirt, pulling him in closer, needing more, craving the heat of him. Sakusa pulled back slightly, his breath hot against Atsumu's lips, voice dark and amused. You're acting like you didn't want this. Atsumu whined, chasing after his lips, fighting back the urge to beg. Shut up. And Sakusa kissed him again, shutting him up the best way he knew how. And holy shit, if this was how the night was ending, maybe all those disasters were worth it. Happy birthday, Sakusa.